now your sports betting podcast for Friday, February the 6th. I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. You tired of getting drilled by so-called right angles? Joe Duffy's picks certainly masters the winning angles. We're a sweet 92-68 in basketball, including 5-1 recently with Wise Guy plays. Western Conference game of the month in the NBA tonight. Thursday night, of course, we hit with Georgia Southern as a Sun Belt game of the year. Super Bowl Sunday, we had Oakland as the Horizon League game of the year, winning easily. Tonight, it's a Western Conference game of the month. Of course, that is a Wise Guy play. It is among 3 winning picks, all at OffshoreInsiders.com, www.offshoreinsiders.com. New York and Brooklyn, we're going to take a look at some news and notes for today. We're actually going to focus maybe a little bit more today on our dichotomous straight-up and ATS teams and some teams that we're keeping an eye on for being undervalued. If you're a new listener to our podcast and you've never gotten our picks before, essentially what it says is if one team is on a straight-up winning streak but they're losing a lot of games ATS, or vice versa, they are on a straight-up losing streak but they're covering, that has been a great signal of which teams are clearly under or overvalued, and we essentially ride the ATS streaks because those teams are going to sneak under the radar as long as they keep winning and not covering or losing and covering. Anyway, the Knicks are 11-38 straight up, 3-21 on the road. However, they are 4-1 their last 5 on the road where it counts, and 6-2 overall. So the Knicks would be a good example of a dichotomous straight up and ATS team. Cleveland and Indiana, the Cavs are playing back-to-back. The road team is 29-15 against the spread in the Pacers games this year. Now, keep in mind, home underdogs are 24-12 ATS since January 22nd. After that, shocking 82-119-2 start, so a little regression to the mean. As we said, the publics generally like to bet road favorites, and road favorites are usually not very good plays, more so in the NFL, but NBA as well. However, home underdogs are finally starting to cover recently. Cleveland, by the way, easily the top public bet today. 85% of the public at the time we record this is betting on Cleveland. That is, 85% of the bets on that game against the spread are on Cleveland, more accurately. The Clippers in Toronto, Clippers are playing back-to-back. They're 33-16 straight up, but 1-5 against the spread, so maybe the Clippers are one of those dichotomous spread teams to look at. Toronto is the number 2 over team in the NBA, though they've actually gone under their last 2. The Clippers have gone under 6 of 7, with 3 of their last 6 actually having gone under by at least 15. Clippers are the number 1 offensive efficiency team in the NBA, getting 110.3 points per 100 possessions. Lakers and Orlando. Orlando 14-38 against the spread, 26-21 against the spread. Orlando is 14-38 straight up, but 26-21 against the spread recently. Orlando is the worst defense the last 5 games, allowing 113.1 points per 100 possessions. Their last 14 games, they're also allowing a league worst 110.8 points per 100 possessions. We're going to take a look at the marquee game of the night, Golden State and Atlanta, in just one moment. In fact, we're even going to have a free pick on it. Please, if you're enjoying these podcasts, can you just help us out? We're very happy to say the listenership is really going up since we've been doing this on a daily basis. Help us any way you can. If you're listening on either Stitcher or iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating there. The experts tell us that will help us in search engines. If you're seeing this on maybe, one of the gambling Facebook groups, please give it a like. If you're listening to the simulcast on YouTube, give us a like. Twitter, retweet us, etc., etc., etc. The more exposure we get, of course, the more motivation we have to continue to give you this this kick-ass free information. Golden State and Atlanta. Golden State, 3 games in 4 days they are playing. These are the number 2 and 3 spread teams in the league based on margin of cover, or sweat barometer, as some people like to call it. Warriors at plus 3.5. The Hawks at plus 3.4 average margin of cover for the full season. Only the Bucks, they're the only other team that's above 1.9, so these are 2 great spread teams, to say the least. However, Hawks are 2-4 their last 6, with their covers by a combined 5 points, but their setbacks by 37. Hence, they're actually minus 5.33 sweat barometer margin of cover in their last 6. The Warriors, on the other hand, still hot spread-wise. They've covered 3 straight by 6 or more. Top net rating, it's also the top 2 net rating teams in the NBA. Golden State at plus 13, Atlanta plus 7.4. The Warriors, the best defensive efficiency, allowing 97.3 points per 100 possessions. Atlanta tied at 5th at 100. Golden State, also the number 2 offensively efficient team, getting 110.3 points per 100 possessions, but Atlanta's 5th at 107.4. So you have 2 darn good teams. Now, what's kind of surprising here is that Golden State is able to maintain such a good defensive efficiency when they're the quickest pace team in the league at the last 5 games at 101.92 possessions per 48 minutes. Again, home underdogs, as we said, are 24-12 since that 89-112-2 start. Now, our true line, which was previously known as the outlaw line, but we like to call it the true line, and that is what the line would be without public perception or bad line moves, has the Hawks as a small 1-point favorite. So our free pick on this game is to go with the Atlanta Hawks. We do like the Atlanta Hawks plus the small number. Denver and Detroit, both of these teams are playing 3 games in 4 days. The theory by some is maybe teams will slow down the pace, that when you have tired legs for both teams, that an under may be the play that they lean towards. Detroit guard Brandon Jennings out for the year. Pistons 4-3 since he's going down and going over 4-3. Utah and Phoenix. Phoenix playing back-to-back, but Utah's also playing 3 games in 4 days. Jazz are 17-32 straight up, but 26-21 against the spread, including 11-4 on the road. Their last 15. And that is despite having an 8-17 straight-up record on the road. Philadelphia and Boston. Boston 3 games in 4 days. Sixers a horrid 11-39 straight up, 5-21 on the road, but they've covered 5 straight. They're 10-5 their last 15 where it counts. Sixers, though, remain far and away the top under team in the league, going under by an average of 6.6 points per game, and under 33-17 for the year. They have the worst net rating in the league at minus 10.8 points. Again, that's the difference between offensive and defensive efficiency. Sixers a surprising 12-5-1 in games without Tony Wroten since he was hurt, going under 12-6. That probably not really a surprise, including 9-3 under since he was lost for the year. Now, the Sixers, bar none, the worst offensive efficiency team at 91.6 points per 100 possessions. And again, Wroten was one of their few offensive weapons. Boston, though, with the 8th worst defense, the 8th worst offense it is, at only 101 points per 100 possessions. New Orleans and Oklahoma City. New Orleans is without Drew Holiday. They're 8-4 against the spread without him, though, going under at that same 8-4 rate. For OKC, Kevin Durant questionable. They have gone under 18-9 without him. No surprise there. New Orleans, the second best offensive efficiency in their last 5 games at 109.2 points per 100 possessions. New Orleans' slowest pace in the league their last 5 games, getting just 91.63 possessions per 48 minutes. Pelicans a perfect 12-0 ATS since December the 10th as an underdog. Milwaukee and Houston. At Milwaukee, the top margin of cover team in the NBA. They're 33-16 by an average of 4.1 points against the spread. That includes 6-1 their last 7. Their only spread setback during that span was by 1.5, while every cover was by 5.5 or more, 5 by 9 or more. Dwight Howard remains out for Houston. They've gone under 3-1 without him. Milwaukee, second best defensive efficiency team in the NBA, getting only allowing 98.7 points per 100 possessions. Our free pick, though, there will be without Milwaukee. Again, when a team is minus a star player, there's a point of diminishing return. And although we do admit that we think Dwight Howard's a bit overrated, still a key player, and they're without him for a while now, so Milwaukee is a free play. Memphis and Minnesota, you know what? You want to go to Joe Duffy's picks. We got some balls to the wall. Incredible intel on that game as a premium pick. Joe Duffy's picks at offshoreinsiders.com. Miami and San Antonio. Miami, 3 games in 4 days. Spurs, 31-18 straight up, 19-7 at home, but 0-4-1 against the spread recently. So that could be, the Spurs might be a team to fade according to the dichotomous straight up and ATS theory. Two of them were by minus 25 or worse over those last 5 games. The Heat are the number 2 under team in the NBA by minus 4.4, going under 31-18, though they've actually gone over 2 straight by 14.5 or more. Miami without Dwayne Wade, but frankly, no compelling betting numbers to report either ATS or over-under in the games that he's missed. The Heat, slowest pace team in the NBA, 91.80 possessions per 48 minutes. Keep in mind the Heat are 16-4 against the spread going back to June 14th of 2012 on the road after a loss as an underdog, but things have changed where used to be wasn't very often that Miami was an underdog, but now without Dwayne Wade and, of course, LeBron James in Cleveland, they're an underdog a lot more. So, truthfully, keep that into perspective. But pretty compelling number. Sometimes we take on the podcast more that we'll report you decide modus of operandi, not necessarily something that would influence us for our premium bets. But remember, Joe Duffy's picks, 3 premium bets, including Game of the Month play in the NBA Western Conference Game of the Month. Joe Duffy's picks, www.offshoreinsiders.com.